Intruder alarms. You are thinking of getting an alarm installed, so you make an appointment with a security surveyor. I have 40 years experience in that role. Let me explain how I go about conducting the survey. I take out a survey note and I write in the customer's name and address. I turn up on time, M42 permitting. Show ID card, conduct initial introductions. Accept a cup of tea if one is offered. And now down to the serious stuff. I ask, has there been an incident? I proceed accordingly and sensitively. I ask for a tour of the property inside and out. The purpose of the tour is to identify the weaknesses. The tour will be thorough as the client allows. The client and I go on to discuss the alarm coverage. I explain the technicalities. At this stage, I do not need a commitment. I am happy to leave, telling the client that a quotation letter will follow soon after. As promised, I send Mr. Smith a covering letter and an equipment list. This is the system we discussed. This is a control panel, and the control panel will be sited in the loft. The panel is wired into the mains via a fused spur. Inside the panel you will find a printed circuit board and a standby battery. Let's now morph these into the control panel. There. A separate keypad is required. The client will use the keypad to set and unset the system, and the engineer will use it to program the panel. No alarm installation should be without an internal sounder, and certainly no installation should be without an alarm warning device externally, generally known as the external sounder. The remote keypad, internal sounder and external sounder communicate with the control panel wirelessly. The equipment you now see on the screen, control panel, remote keypad, internal and external sounder, are collectively known in the industry as the control equipment. And now for the devices. In my discussion with the client, we agreed to fit 2 door contacts. One is to be fitted to the front door and the other to the back door. Both, of course, are wireless. Shock sensors were part of the conversation. I explained that they could be installed on every window and every door frame, thus creating a perimeter. Or they could be installed selectively. By selectively, I mean they could be installed on individual doors, the ones that are considered to be the most vulnerable. Mr. Smith was unsure how to respond to this idea, but he went on to suggest that I price for 3 shock sensors in the quotation so he could evaluate the cost. In the design proposal, I suggested installing shock sensors on the kitchen window, the second kitchen window and the utility window. And now for the passive infrared detectors. 5 detectors were proposed: 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These detectors are to cover the hall, living room, kitchen, landing and bedroom 1. Before I made the suggestion, the client brought up the subject of panic attack buttons. He asked me to quote for 1 panic button sited in the hall. This system is entirely wireless, so of course all of these devices communicate wirelessly. So there it is. At this stage, just a proposal for further discussion. The design proposal is typed up and emailed to the client. Within the attached documentation, I explain that the installation is classified as Grade 2 and compliant with British standards and European norm 50131. Interestingly, the control panel via the broadband router can be connected to a smartphone app. I always send a price and details of the smartphone app, as this is an option most clients will choose. However, at this time I do not send details of the police calling option, but I remind the client that this can be added at a later date. And so we come to the end of the presentation. I trust you found this presentation helpful. Please do not hesitate to give us a ring should you require assistance. These are our details.